There we go. It'd be good if we unmuted ourselves. Hi, everybody, and welcome to me and Zell's third installment of working on our calculator app here, where Zell's going to walk us through on some JavaScript testing this time, which should be really cool and interesting. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Do make sure you hang out in the chat, ask questions as we're going. I'll be moderating the chat and keeping up with what you guys are chatting about and talking about. So if ever you want to revisit something or something's not clear, just make sure you let us know in the chat and I'll try and get the question over to Zell when we have a chance. And yeah, that's it for me.
All right, cool. Today we are going to talk about testing the calculator, and our tests are going to be written in vanilla JavaScript, but we're not going to try and create a what's that called a testing framework like Jest or Mocha or something similar to that. We're just going to use something that we already have in JavaScript, and that is the console. So we're going to use called a console assert to test the JavaScript. Then let me open up my VS Code and I think it's this one. So you see that in the repository right now, we already Kevin and I had created the source code for these three sessions. Sessions 1 is for the HTML and CSS that Kevin was running. Session 2 was for last Friday, at least for me for last Friday, where we built the JavaScript. And this is session 3, where we continue off from session 2, where I talk about the testing parts. All right, and then my right is the calculator. I'm going to do, oh, here's the dog again. So what we're going to do is to use console.assert to test the calculator, and it has the syntax. For some reason, I can't remember the syntax right now. Okay, so go to MDN, look for the syntax, and here it is. Assertion, and then followed by message. So there's something similar to that. This is a syntax. So basically, it's kind of like console.assert. If it's 1 equals to 1, it should be true, like 1 is 1. So if you do this and you refresh, you see nothing in the console. If your assertion is false, so this basically is kind of like a condition. If you do a if statement, if say 20 equals to it's greater or equal to 25, like this is false and you don't fall into the if condition, right? It's kind of the same thing, except we're just getting the true or false value at this in the console itself. So if 1 is not equals to 1, this is false. If you refresh, it will say assertion failed, followed by the whatever message you put in here. So 1 is 1. That's kind of how it goes. Right. Well, yeah, you want to say something?
No, it's all good. Sorry.
Okay, cool. So when we do testing, we kind of want to start by testing, the buttons. We want to know that, hey, if we press 1, does this thing show up as 1? So I'm going to put a big section on testing here. And then we're going to continue. First thing is, if you press 1, does it show up as 1? So we need a way to find this key for 1. So simplest way will be 1 is document.querySelector. If you go back to the HTML, we look for how we define 1. So it'll be button class 1 data type number 1. Okay. I don't think we need this. Dot 1. All right. Again, I just like to make sure that I have the right elements when I begin, especially when I'm groggy like today. So I was just telling Kevin I just woke up and had a few long days. Okay, so it's working, and my head is not feeling really clear right now. So this is a state where I'm coding when I'm slightly groggy, and it is helpful to add a few more intermediate checkpoints just to make sure that everything is correct, which is what I'm doing right now. I just kind of hit this thing where the connection keeps getting lost for my trackpad. I'm going to disconnect it for a while. Okay. Now, after we have one, we want to make sure when you click this, it actually turns into, what's that called? Into one. So we have to display. And we can, in JavaScript, we can trigger a click with I think it's called trigger. Oh, no, wait, I think it's called click. If you do this, one.click, and we refresh, you see one straight away because we clicked the one button. All right. And if we continue moving on, we want to make sure the test is actually saying the display value text content is display value is display text content. We want to console log the display value, and it's 1. So in this case, when the calculator, when we click one, damn it. So many things. So you see, I actually have two keyboards here right now. I'm trying to do like a split keyboard with this thing, but it's not working out. Yeah, and that's a funny thing. And that's a story for another day. But let's continue with this display value. So essentially, we want to do a console.assert. So after we do a click, we want to console assert the display value is 1. Okay, clicked 1. Kind of something similar to this approach. Now, if we refresh it, assertion failed, click 1. We go back to this. The 1, it comes from text content, so it should be a string instead of a number. So if we do this, why is it still failing? Let's do a check. Display value. Display value is 0. Why is this the case? When this clearly says 1. Let's give it a try one more time. I have to do this because text content doesn't update automatically. Okay. All right, then it passes. Display.text content is 1. We clicked 1. Then after every test, we want to clear the calculator. We don't want to add C into into this. So we want to clear the calculator away. To clear the calculator, we need to create something here. So we need to create a clear key, right? I like to put the clear earlier, but later is fine as well. Clear. All right. Clear key. Now the clear key is this key over here with a class of clear and type of, let's not do number because we don't want it to show up. We do type of clear. Type clear, refresh. Now you see the CSS is a little bit messed up. So we go back to the styles.css and change it up. Number. So anything with number, we have to add a clear. So yeah. No, that's okay. Now it's working. Type equals to clear. when we press the clear key, we want to clear the display value. The purpose of this clear key is to make sure that we clear. So when it comes to clear, there are two levels. The reason, if you remember, Calvin actually put like CE over here in the first video until someone said, hey, there's this different spaces. Well, if you look at the iPhone calculator, let's just bring up the iPhone calculator. There's this AC button over here. I'm not too sure if you see it. And then if you press something, it becomes C. So there's a difference between AC and C. So when you press C, the display gets cleared, and then you can continue the calculation as per normal. So your first number and your operator actually get saved.
Right.
But when you press AC, the calculator gets reset. So all your memory gets cleared. But in this case, let's keep things simple and just do like a C. In my JavaScript course, I actually teach you the difference between the CE and the normal clear and the all clear, which is the AC thing. But let's keep things simple in this live stream, and we're just going to do C. All right, when we do C, when you clear things, we want to clear away the display value, the first number, and the operator. We're going to clear everything on this one. So display value, display.text content should be 0. We're going to reset it. Let's put it as a string. We want to delete the data set. First number, we want to delete calculator, data set, operator. Because these are the two values we save. Now, if we go back to the elements section and we take a look at the calculator, we see that there's a previous data type. Previous data type number. So I just refresh this when I press clear. Look at what happens on this. Right, previous data type is clear, but we still have a previous data key. Oh wait, we haven't added the number. Okay, never mind. Let's put this one at a time. So when we press clear, so now it's 1. When we press clear, it changes back to 0. We do like 8 plus 9 equals. You can see that there's this data first number, data operator. If we press clear, that removes the data first number and data operator. So bear in mind that we need to do a clear thing. So after every test, we need to run a clear function, clear calculator. So let's just do it like this. This is one test, for example. But we need to build this clear calculator function, which we will write here. Clear calculator. To clear the calculator, we'll press the clear key. And that's kind of what it does, press the clear key. So the clear key is document.query selector. I think it's called data type equals to clear. Type. And clear key dot click. So if we do this and refresh, the number should be 0 because we clicked once, we did an assertion and then we cleared the calculator. So yeah, it's back to 0. But do remember that we want to. Sometimes we want to test whether the clear key is actually working also. So we can have a function called test clear. And the whole purpose is to run clear calculator and make sure that there is no this value is 0 and there's no data previous key type. There's no data first value and data operator. So we don't have these 3 things. Okay. Assert. is 0, console.assert. That should not be this, and console.assert. That should not be an operator. And when it comes to writing the test messages, I kind of like to put a generic name so I know where to find it rather than just the message itself. In some test frameworks like Mocha, you can have like describe and then something. I think it's like this, and then you have it, which is the actual test. This is kind of like the wrapper that describes the group of tests. So in the console.assert thing, we don't have that luxury. So what we're just going to do is to say test clear key. Display should be 0. We're just going to do, I'm just going to use a period to split the, this is the descriptor and this is the actual test. Clear key. No data set remains, and this would be the same. It's inappropriate to say no data set remains because we still have a previous key type. So let's just say no first number and no operator. And we can drop the test clear key anytime. So we can do this. And it should work. Now, if we change this to 5, for example, it wouldn't work anymore. Clear key display should be 0. Yep. And for this too, it will only work after we press the calculator, the equal button. Oh, see, there's another edge case here. When we press equal first, the display goes missing. That's something we have to fix if we are building the full version, and I teach you how to do that in the course. But let's come back into the testing. Right, so now we tested one button when we press 1. What if we pressed the second number, like 15? We expect to see 15, and we continue to test clear the rest of the stuff, right? So what we do here is, okay, 1 plus 5, 1, 5 as a test. So we need the number 1. We already have it, so we can click it, but we need the 5, the number 5. Oh. And to get number 5, we need to do this. So query selector 5. And then we need to do an assertion to say that this is 15. Click 1 and 5. And then we do a clear the calculator because we need to clear it. And then we test the clear key again, just to make sure. If we refresh, it's correct, but let's just try breaking things. Like, let's do 0. Yeah, click assertion failed, should be 15. Yep. And then let's move on, like 159. Now we need to add a 9. This is going to be a little bit repetitive. Repetitive is good because that's when we see a pattern. So we have 9, click, and there should be 159. Okay, at this point, we can start to see a bit of a code issue where if we want to do like 8, 7, 6, 0, all the different kinds of numbers, we have to create like 10 different numbers for it. So it's going to be a bit of a pain to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is there a better way? Yes, there is actually a better way, and we can do it by changing the classes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9 because we just need the number, right? We just need to be able to reference the key by their text content or by their I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing a text content thing most of the time because text content can change and it seems like this is a changeable thing to people. So what I do is to use a data key, like what we did with times and all the other numbers here. So I'm just going to change this to data key. And instead of the value 1 to 9, I'm going to use the number. Because there's all strings, we can do that with classes. When we write classes, we cannot begin classes with a number. No idea why, but that's the case. Then now we need to go back to the styles and change the 1 to, I think this will be data key equals to 1. Okay, and I'm going to copy this. This is 2. 3. While I'm doing this, any questions?
I'm just looking through now. Chukka asked if we're setting up a test like that, and it's like you're just getting into the testing, could you use a set timeout to actually see the clicks happening before it gets cleared? Like is the way you have it set up now, it's doing all the clicks and clearing it right away?
Well, the key is when you set it up earlier and you want to make sure that it's actually happening, you can do it. So let's just do this. All right. Timeout. And let's say we're gonna do this for like 1 second. All right. And then we clear the calculator. Wait, unclick property. A3. Oh,
you changed it.
I just changed this. Okay. Let me just do it. Since we have 1, it will be simple. So let me just do this. Key equals to 1. Okay. See that?
Yeah.
1, 0. But then again, you don't really have an indication of why does it change from 1 to 0.
Right.
And then of course you can do a console log of testing timer. And then you go like, okay, testing timer 1, 0. Then you imagine if you do it multiple times, it is going to be like before you can even begin the code, you'll be like waiting for the calculator to clear.
Right.
So not exactly the best approach to testing, because we're gonna run all the tests as soon as possible, and with as little timers as possible. But if when you're setting up, you just want to make sure that okay, this is actually no clicked, you can do the timer as the security thing. Yep. So we have 5, and now 5 is data key, Hana key. Data key is 5, and 9 will be data dash key 9. Okay, we were doing 1, 5, and 9, right? So yep. Now you can see that we already have done this sequence 3 times, which means that we can create a function to repeat it because we already have a very clear format. Let's create a function called test key, or rather, okay. Yeah, my keyboard decided not to work for a while earlier. Test keys or run test. Let's just call it run test. Run test. Test key sequence. All right. That sounds nice.
Mhm.
And in that sequence, we probably want to add a few numbers into it, like maybe say 1, 5, or 5, 9. This will be the arguments that we pass in. So we can pass in an array of arguments that we press. And then we'll just get the keys back into an array here, packed it back into an array. So this will be a comma separated list of arguments, and then we pack it back into an array, I think. I have to test this. It's been a while since I coded something like this. So let's say if we do test key sequence, test key sequence 1590. All right, I'm just going to check the console. All right, so we have the 1590. I'm going to call this a sequence, and then this will be keys. Now let's just leave it as keys, and this will be an array, so I know which is which. Now, when we press the keys, what we want to do is to click. So if the key is a number, we're going to click the number. And right now we only have number keys, but if we press the operator key, can we check with this? If you look at, we have a plus, minus, times, divide as well. So we can actually do a operator key click. We can do an equal key click because we have data key. Oh wait, we need to change data key equals to equal to do the equal click, but we can do it later. So let's just do with numbers for now. For each key array, those will be key. What we want to do is to click document.query selector data-key equals to key. So we're using the variable here, and we're going to convert it into a template literal. I'll click. What this means is if let's say we have a test key sequence 159, what we're going to do is click 1, click 5, click 9. Of course, it's better to use strings because our entire calculator relies on strings so far. All right, we can comment out this code for now and see whether we have 159 here. Ooh. Okay, something is wrong. See the query selector on document data key equals to 1 is not a valid selector. Okay, looks like my square brackets went out. Should be here. Should be inside the template literal. All right, we see 159. So actually that's correct. If we test 1 and 5, that we see it 1 and 5. And then if we press 1, then we have 1. All right. So yes, we have keys, and we can press the key. This is pressing key. Pressing one key, and then this loop is to press many keys. Actually, this is what we have. And then the next thing we need to do, so we've set out the clicking part. The next thing we need to do is the console.assert part. For the assertion, what we need is to pass in the value. There's two things we need: value to assert, and then the message, test message. Okay, and this is going to be a little bit hard to pass into this one a comma separated argument, which is just the keys. So what we can do is to pass in, instead of this comma separated argument thingy, we can pass in an object that kind of looks like this. So let's say we have an object that looks like this, and we say keys to press will be an array that says 159. Okay, cool. It's like this. And then we have a value to assert that will be 159 in strings. And then we have a message for the test. So we click 159. Now, if we decide to use this object, which is much clearer since we have the value to assert and the message, we can put this inside as the parameter. So I think let's call this object the test. Okay, we're gonna use the test as the object. And in that case, we do not need array.keys because the test.keys is an object itself. Press many keys, and then we do the assertion, which is console.assert, display.value, display.text content is test.value. And then we have a message, test.message. Then we run the test sequence by running this test that we created over here. Refresh, and it says 159. Remember, we haven't cleared the calculator yet. There's no error in the console, but let's just create an error and take a look at the test value and the test message. All right, assertion failed, click 159. Ding. So we know that this test value is wrong, but we don't know what's the real value because we can do another console.assert when we do a debug, right? But this is what we can do, and essentially we have created a repeatable test structure that we can use to test many different key combinations, right? And the last thing to do is, let me just remove the comments here. Press keys. So we press keys, we do the assertion, and we clear calculator after each test. So this will be our test structure. And at this point, what we can do is to create an array of tests and run this test inside. So they'll be testing, say 1. Test, let's do an array of tests. Const test. And the first test will be, this is actually the third test, but we'll just use it. If you click 15, it'll be 15, 15. If you click 1, it'll be 1. And then what we do is we run all the tests in this array. So test dot for each test. We're gonna test the key sequence. And when we have this kind of syntax, right? Because this is only one, what's that called? This test key sequence only takes in one argument. We can skip the syntax and simply pass the first element, the first argument inside. It kind of looks like this. And then there'll be no errors, but of course, let's just make an error to make sure that everything is there. So we have 3 errors, which means that we actually ran all 3 assertions. And since there are no errors, that means that nothing is wrong. Of course, we can also check the errors by, where do I go? What's this? Oh yeah, we have no use for this variables anymore. We can check the errors by changing the values. Say 1 is 2, that fails. Or this one, and the 15 one fails. Okay, cool. So this is how we run tests. Any questions before we continue? I think we jumped a lot in the last 30 minutes or so, because it's like,
no, it looks pretty good. We're on track. I just want to say a thank you to Zed08840 for the super chat, as well as Wafi Mohammed. Thank you guys so very much. It's super generous of you. And I have a couple of my former students hanging out in the chat too. So hi guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do not know if any of my students are hanging out in the chat, but let me just leave the chat for now and continue coding.
Otherwise, everything looks like it's going good. So this is cool.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So right now we have the test. Now let's do a multiplication test. So 1,5 times 9, for example. The result we are expecting to see is 135. If you are a little bit, if you're not sure about the calculation, you can do like a normal calculator like me and make sure that the result is 135 before we continue writing the test, right? So keys will be 1, 5, and times. So this is the reason why, before that, and I think in the last session I mentioned that we can actually use the text content, but I prefer not to. I actually like to use text because this is when I will start writing text. Otherwise, I'll be scrolling up and down, finding the times operator, and then trying to write that in. So it's not very nice. Okay, value would be 135, and the message can be calculation with times. For example, the message can be anything. Okay, again, assertion failed. Why? 1,5 times 9. Oh, let's see. So the good thing about normal test runners is you can skip, like with Jest, is you can skip all the tests that actually passes and you test the one that fails. But in this rudimentary version, we have to comment out the test we don't want to test. And then we figure out what's wrong with the current one. Okay, assertion failed, calculation with times. And then we go back here. All right, display.text content. Test value. Let's just try. Oh, okay, so the display.text content is actually showing 9. Let's not do a clear calculator so we see it. It shows 9. Oh, I forgot the equal key. And we need to change this to data dash key is equal. And I think that's this. Silly me. All right, now it works. Can't believe I forgot the equal key. Yeah. All right, and this is how we test that calculator. Let's just fix everything. Now, if we are a little bit, I do not know what's the proper English word for it, but in Singapore we have this term called kiasu, which kind of means that you are anxious and panicky and you want to make sure everything is correct, and so you test everything twice or 3 times, kind of something similar to that. Right. So what we can do is we can test every operator. We have the times operator now. We can try pressing the plus operator. Okay, 1, 5. Let's change numbers so we know other numbers work as well. 2, 24 plus 7. That will be 31. So if this works, that's fine. And then this fails. So we know that this is actually working fine. We have a minus. So let's start making things difficult for ourselves a little bit more. So let's try 3. So we want to get a negative number. 3 minus 70. That should net us with, what's that value? That will be minus 67. All right. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. There's no 70 because there's 7 and 0.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we have it. And we have times. Let's do a divide as well. All right. In this case, we can I remember there's this divide by 0 thing previously. I remember the last session. So we can do a normal divide, say 9 divided by 9 divide 3. Should be 3. Right? Oh, notice this? There's this operator that's still staying here that didn't get cleared away. Notice that?
Mm-hmm.
You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it means our clear operation should clear away the whatever operators are being depressed right now. So clear calculator should also let's just call it key. Do we have a selected class or something? Oh wait, we did a state. I can't remember. Yeah, data set dot state. Operator keys is not defined because we only define it here. So what we can do is to bring it up and it should be defined. Right click and then this goes away. There we go.
Ryan.
Yeah, let's do a divide by 0. I just wanna I just wanna remember this one.
Yeah.
It should be infinity. All right, and that's it for a very simple version of the clearing.
Ryan just mentions that you don't want to forget to change your assertion messages.
My assertion. Oh yeah. Plus minus times divide, and let's call this divide by 0. Calculation. Yeah, that's it. Going forward, if we want to be a bit more fancy, what we can do is keys, say 9 plus 9 equals equal, for example, and then you remember if you do 9 plus 9 equals, it'll be 18. If you press equals again, it will continue the calculation and there will be 27. But that is a difficult edge case that I explained in Learn JavaScript, so I'm not going to explain it here. It's going to take at least 2 more hours just to explain all the difficult edge cases. It's really tough. I've been through that. It's really tough. So let's just stop here, and I hope that at least we have a rudimentary version of testing that you can use. But it's about finding the patterns of what you want to test. In this case, for a calculator, it's pretty simple because we have a very fixed pattern, so we can create this test key sequence function. But if you do not have it, then just put the test, slap the test together, and find the whatever elements you want to click, which this click would be nice, and do the test from there. That's actually what test runners do for you by making the searching a little bit simpler. That's all. And of course, they test it without you having to open up the console, but without having you opening up the server manually. But that's about what that's what they offer over console.assert. And yeah, that's it, I guess. I can stop my screen share at this point. I don't think there's anything else I want to share. Yeah. Shall we move on? Back to you, Kelvin.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing too much going on in the chat right now. Maxwell says that it's awesome what you managed to get done there, so that's great. Happy to see that. And there wasn't too many questions that rolled in
It
at the
might be.
end.
I have went a little bit too far.
Sorry?
Oh, wait, I lost you. The connection was unstable.
Oh, no. Are you back now?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I was just saying that Maxwell appreciated. He said it was really awesome, but there was not too many questions rolling in there. So I hope everybody was enjoying it. What was going on this whole time? I thought it was really good. How far at what point would you say, if you're doing testing like this, like when do you decide, okay, maybe I should be using a testing framework or something? Like at what point does it get too much that you're bothering to write all of this like this? Like is there at one point you just stop and go like, this is getting ridiculous? Or hopefully you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we don't really have to worry about it at this point. You'll get to a point where you get frustrated with console.assert, and that's the point where you want to switch to a real test framework.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you have already learned to use a test framework, then by all means get started by using that test framework and skip the whole console.assert thing altogether. So the real reason for using console.assert in my case at this point is to help people get over the hurdle of testing. Right? Like testing is this big overwhelming thing, but we can actually start doing it with whatever we know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the purpose of this today's live stream, and the purpose of me writing the test into my course. But also the reason why I included tests was because when I tried doing the difficult edge cases, it was really bad. I had to do it like 5 or 6 times, and I spent like 40 hours just trying to debug what the hell is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And with the test, I just write the lessons and I'm done. So it's like done. Those are the kind of things that you want to. The moment you start creating something a little bit more complicated, like the calculator, you need to write the test.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter whether to write in console in the console or whether to write in a test framework. Yep. Let's take a look at the questions. I think Kushagra was asking whether we can get a console on iPad. Console is for browsers and for Node. So as long as you're running a browser or a Node, you should be able to get the console. Chuka is asking, is it possible to get the tutorials for your Learn JavaScript projects? Everything in there? If it's everything in there, then it's probably best to join the course. I do release a few articles here and there, but I can't remember offhand where they are at this point. Like the calculator one is right here, right now. I think I have a... Yeah, sorry, I can't remember the rest. I don't think I released everything. Let's see. All right, nothing more, yeah?
Yeah, it looks good.
Looks good.
So thank you guys for hanging out. If you have any last minute questions, throw them in quick. And yeah, this was really interesting. Thanks a lot, Zell, for coming to hang out these 3 days to put this together. It was a lot of fun. You did a lot more work than I did, so it was pretty easy for me. I have to do more of these collabs where I get to watch people do all the hard work.
Well, if we do the chess game like what was mentioning, we have to both do the hard work.
Yeah.
Like we'll be coding the CSS together. We'll be coding the JavaScript together. That'll be I haven't done something like that before.
Yeah, a lot of thanks. Thank you guys all for coming to hang out with us. From Daniel, Tim, Krishargra, Brent, Chuka. Who else has been here? Of course, Fatime and Giancarlo. Thank you guys for coming to hang out. Ryan, Sapanda, Dione. Yeah, thank you all. Danielle. Thank you guys all for coming and hanging out with us. It looks like a lot of positive feedback rolling in now, so that's always good. So yeah, and if ever you have any other suggestions or anything like that for other collaborations you'd like to see with me and Zell, or if it's anybody else, let me know. I have a few other things planned. They'll be a little bit different from what me and Zell are working on now, but I'll be trying to keep up with some collabs as time goes on. And we keep working on stuff. If you want links to any of Zell's stuff, all of the stuff is linked down below. And I did see a few questions also just as it rolled in, and I mentioned my community. So if ever you want to know about, if you ever have questions, YouTube comments can be really hard to ask questions. So there is a link to my Discord community in the description as well. It can be a little bit easier to ask questions, have discussion, and not have to wait on people, because there's usually always somebody active no matter what time zone you're in. So that always helps. For live streams, if you're subscribed, I think they even send you an email. I get emails from myself as soon as I go live. And then there's also the other ones. What else can we do? Subscribe to our newsletters, and then you'll get notifications for everything we're up to. So I know Zell is sending his out, and I've been letting people know that I'm going live too. So the best way to keep up with whatever we're doing is probably some form of newsletter for both of us. Any parting words, Zell?
Yeah, it's been fun hanging out. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me, Kevin, to talk about this calculator thing. It's been fun just to live code for a while. It's been a while since I last did that. And I'll be happy to continue doing some collabs if we find a chance to going forward.
I keep nodding and like giving you thumbs up and stuff, and I'm like, oh wait, he can't see me. I keep forgetting that you don't have the camera on your end. But yes, definitely. This was a lot of fun for me, so I'd definitely be up for some future stuff.
Yeah, so I think the next time we do this, I want to have my monitor ready, so yes. I can actually see you. It's weird not to be able to see you and plus see the chat on the other screen or something.
Yeah. Awesome.
Otherwise, I'm good. Thanks for hanging out with us, and yeah.
Have a good evening, everyone, or morning, depending where you are in the world. Bye.
Bye.
Whoops.